Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you how to make this beautiful runner. It's a very stylish pattern that you can easily use as a runner, a throw blanket, or even a shawl motif you can drape over yourself. Let me get straight to the material information. I used 5 yarns called Cindy Supra. I used 200 grams of yarn, 125 meters long, and a 3 mm crochet hook. I only used 5 yarns for the fringe on one edge. FYI, I got a runner that's approximately 40 centimeters wide. You can achieve more width by increasing the number of motifs. I wish I could find a visual. We've made this before. We've worked on this before I started this channel. We also made it as a tablecloth. It turned out very stylish. In other words, it's a wonderful tablecloth for welcoming your guests, even larger guests. It would be absolutely stunning with a slightly thinner yarn. Keep in mind, if you have the materials ready, we can start making it right away. Yes, our motif is made in multiples of 7 inches. So we'll create a multiple of 7. We'll add 5 chain turns. Since I want a runner that's approximately 40 centimeters wide, N corresponds to an average of 12 motifs. I'll chain 89 from 12 by 7 plus 5. As I said, these 89 chains are valid for a runner that's approximately 40 to 41 centimeters wide. If you want to make more, as I said, you can proceed with a multiple of 7 plus 5. Now, let's start by chaining 89. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yes, after completing our chain, we'll fill in the beginning and make a slip stitch in 8 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now, after we've made our slip stitch, we'll make a double crochet right here. But don't hold it too tightly. A little like this, but don't hold it too loosely either. This time, it might bruise. As you can see, you can do it the way I did. Not too tight, not too loose. We've placed 1 double crochet. Our motif progresses through double crochets and chains. Now we're going to place 2 more double crochets in the same spot. I have 3 chains. I'm placing 3 more double crochets in the same spot again. As you can see, I have 2 chains between the motifs. I'm immediately pulling my 2 chains. I'm filling my head. From now on, we'll always be inserting 7 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We're inserting only our 8 chains before working our first motif. We'll be inserting 7 chains between all the motifs from now on. I'm placing my motif again. What was my motif? 3 double crochets. Plus 3 chains. 3 double crochets again. I'll do this again in the same spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. My yarn is also mixed in the glitter, so I'm having a little trouble knitting it. Sorry in advance. I'm placing 3 double crochets right now. I have 1, 2, 3 chains. 3 double crochets in the same spot again. I have 2 intermediate chains. I wrapped around my head. I slip stitch into chains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 and insert it into my motif again. Now we'll continue in this way until I have 5 chains left at the end of my row. 1, 2, 3 chains. 3 double crochets in the same spot again. Yes, as you can see, let's continue until we have 5 chains left at the end of the row. Yes, I've made my last motif. I'm chaining 1 at the end. We're chaining 1 at the end, just so you know, at the end of each row. After wrapping around my head, I immediately slip stitch into my 4th chain and insert a double crochet. As you can see, when you go up the row in turns 1, 2, 3, 4, we make 4 chains at the beginning of each row. Just so you know, I wrapped around my head after 4 chains. Look right now, this is the gap in my motif you see. I'm inserting my motif right here. I'm going to make my 3 double crochets. I'm chaining 3 and then working 3 double crochets in the same spot again. As you can see, we've reached the top row in this way. I'm immediately working 2 intermediate chains. I've wrapped around my head. Look, I've reached the intermediate point of my next motif. I'm talking about a 3 chain section. I'm placing my motif again. I'm working 3 double crochets. 3 chains. Working 3 double crochets in the same spot again. I'm working 2 chains and moving on to my next motif. As you can see, let's continue like this until the end of the row, as I've shown. Yes, we've reached the end of our row. I'm closing with a chain right away. I'm closing at the end of the row. Let me tell you, listen very carefully from here on out because I'll show you this last time. I don't want to bore you with repeating the same thing too much. So, how do we proceed with our ending and starting points? I didn't show you this in a row either. I'll show you this last time. When we work our last motif, we immediately work 1 chain and wrap around our head. The bottom motif has 3 double crochets, as you can see here. Here we have the last 3/3 double crochets. I'm slipping into the first chain right next to it and making another double crochet. And that's how I close. What did we do? We made a chain. I slipped into the stitch right next to my last double crochet and made another double crochet. I'm done with my row. Now, all I have to do to start my row is chain 4. I've wrapped around my head. Look, I've attempted a motif search and I'm placing my motif. It's a super simple pattern. There's nothing difficult about it. It's a pattern you can easily make and use in a day. You can even sell it because it's a very quick pattern. As you can see, I've placed my first motif in my 3rd row. Now I'll continue working until I reach the desired length. And we'll see you again when you reach the desired length. Yes, as you can see, I've made a lot of progress. Now I'm making my last motif. I've chained off. I've wrapped around my head. I'll follow my usual closing procedure. I'm chaining 1, 2, 3, 4 and I'm inserting right into the center of my first motif. I've chained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm inserting right into the center of my next motif. This is now our last row. There will be 7 intermediate chains. Every 7, we insert 1 into this space at the end of the motif. This brings our last row to the same position as the one below. We're making 7 chains each. As I mentioned, intermediate chains. Yes, I have one last motif left. I'm chaining 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. I'm inserting 4 chains right at the end. I'm also inserting the double crochet at the end of the first stitch where we always insert. I've made a closing chain. As you can see, we've brought the bottom of the stitch to the same position. Now, can I break it off like this? H is a very strong yarn. I'm going to cut it right away. I'm going to cut my yarn here. I'll finish cleaning these up. I'll move on to the fringe section. You can do the fringe section at the end of any motif if you like. If you like, you can do it by leaving a gap here, a gap there. I'll explain how we do the fringe right away. Take our phone. I found the phone size to be ideal. If you like, you can shorten it with scissors after the e-threading process. I'll just do a few turns like this. Let's do 8 or even 10 turns. Yes. I'm taking it out like this. You could also use cardboard or something. You could also use small notebooks. I had my daughter's phone, so I wanted to use it right away. Look, I took it out like this. I'm starting from the end of my first motif. Look, all of these are in a loop shape. I'm going to thread them all through. I wish I had the rest of the yarn with me. Yes, I did them all. Look, I have a loop here. I have a loop here. Look, I'm going to thread this top one through this bottom loop and feel around. I'll tighten it. Then I'll cut the end off with scissors. After all the stitching is done, you can iron it. My yarn looks like it'll need it. Finally, I'll lay them neatly on the table and cut them evenly, as short or long as I want them. As I said, you can do all the motifs side by side if you like. You can do it with a gap. I'll probably leave one gap and then do it on the next. I'll share the final version with you in a moment. Yes, as you can see, I've finished the fringe. I actually told you I'd do it with a gap, but it didn't look very nice. The gaps were too wide. And since we have an even number of motifs, those two were left open. That was going to be a problem. So, I made one fringe for each motif. My yarn was on its last leg, so it was curly. I'll also iron this side. I wanted to show you a little bit more though. I'll show you again after I iron it. Besides that, I used 4 strands of yarn for this runner. Just for the fringe on the last edge, I used a very small amount of yarn out of my 5 strands. Just so you know,